Hello everybody and welcome back to FewCandy, where last time we put in our massive 4-stack interchange over here and did a little bit of highway work around this left hand side of the downtown over here. So today we're going to be starting to work on this little area next to our big central train hub over here, and I am thinking we're going to put a big stadium on this corner and vanilla cheese in some keys around here, as well as actually start off an old town district, because we are yet to have any of our kind of old style vanilla European high density buildings in FewCandy. And we have got certain European influences going on, like our big Amsterdam Palace gardens over here, a little bit reminiscent of Buckingham Palace and various other things like that. So I think an old town district on this side of the downtown would go in really, really nicely. But let's start off today with the stadium on this corner, and we're going to need to do a little bit of terraforming here just to make this work. So the stadium I've decided to go for is one from the Sports Venues Content Creator Pack by the amazing Bad Peanut. If you haven't got this, please do go and check out my instant gaming link in the description below. There's often huge discounts on all of these different DLCs and a whole host of other games. So I think that this would fit in really nicely around here with a big keyed network around the edge of the train tracks, and then some nice kind of garden work and park work around it, a bit more green open space. So that's what I'm thinking for here. So let's start off by getting the stadium in, and we'll just flatten out this area like I mentioned so that this is actually going to fit. It's quite a large building, so we want to make sure that we've got an appropriate amount of space up here. I'm going to go back probably a little bit further than we actually need for the time being, just to make sure that we can fit this all in nicely. I'm also going to clear out all of these trees, just to give ourselves a little bit of a blank canvas here as well. So let's start by getting an access road in for our station. I'm thinking this is probably the most appropriate node to come out from. So we'll come out of there and then we'll just run this across here, which gives us a little bit of an elevation change between the main collector road and this one. And I do also want to remember to turn off those traffic lights. So let's come into our junctions function here and get rid of those. I don't think we need them for the station. It will get busy at times, but hopefully not all of the time. And I need to make sure that we've got enough space for the keys around it, which is a really important aspect. So we want to make sure that we're far enough over. I feel like that might be all right. We might struggle right on this back little corner over here, but we'll see how it goes. So now let's pause the game. We've got a train right in there, which is rather unfortunate, but we're going to flood our rail track. So let's add in our water point here, and I think we're actually going to have another one around this side as well, because I'm not too sure that that water is going to meet all the way around our stadium over this side. So let's actually probably put that one in the wrong place, this way. So we're going to have the keys on the other side. So let's grab this one and we'll move it across to this side. Make sure, of course, the water is coming out onto the train track and not otherwise. Like that. Now if we get those connected up and press play, we'll slowly start to see water coming out of these, flooding our rail tracks. We do have enough excess water, there we go, that this will happen. So it is going to flood, of course, our big main train station, but that is what it is. It will dissipate, it will go away, so it's not too much of a trouble. Then let's come in and pick some keys. So I'm thinking a simple seawall would probably be quite nice. The alternative is obviously our simple city key. I think we'll stick to the slightly more rustic looking seawall here. So we have got water in here now, so I'm hoping that this will now go in, which it will. Wonderful. So yeah, we're going to struggle on this corner for sure. So we probably want to come a little bit closer to the train track if we can, which we can. And yes, that does get us round that corner quite nicely. So we'll come up to there. And then we just want to trace this around the stadium. So we are going to get issues like this where it says shoreline required. Actually, that will go in there. So let's bring this around. It's going to be slightly odd shape, but I think that that is okay. We're going to bring it up to this point here, and that's actually gone in pretty nice and flat for vanilla, so I'm quite pleased with that. And then we're going to bring it out and across this way. So I do actually need to do a little bit more flooding over this side. We can delete these out now, so let's go ahead and do that, and that water will start to slowly dry up. So let's create ourselves a little bit of a gully in here that we can then also flood, and I probably will just try and stop it from flooding our main road as well as everything else. We'll grab another freshwater outlet. Now this freshwater outlet is from the Natural Disasters DLC if you don't have it. It's incredibly useful. And I never really play with disasters on. They're kind of annoying, let's face it. However, the DLC has some really, really great useful assets with it, so it is one that is worth exploring, I would say. I'm thinking here, maybe we add in actually the stairs sections so that we can get down from the top of the baseball stadium onto this other side. Might be kind of interesting. And that bit has flipped around not in the way that we want it to, so let's actually just shape out this terrain here. We need to bring this out a little bit further. Maybe push this back a little bit more as well. Our water's going absolutely everywhere. And then see if we can add in another section of the quay here, and it's still flipped around. It's not liking that at all. Okay, that is not too bad. I'm quite happy with that. So let's remove this now. Let's sort out our terrain. We'll let it play and let that water dissipate a little bit. And then hopefully before long we'll be back to normal and have some pretty beautiful quays in our city. Now with the bottom of this, I do want to make sure that we're coming right up to the bottom of those quays. I kind of don't want it to be multi-level. So yeah, about here is going to be fine. So we just want to shape this landscape so that it's sitting really, really nicely at the bottom of those quays here. So it's slightly wonky on this side, which I should have noticed before I did it, but it's kind of okay. Let's just say there's a tiny bit of subsidence on this part of the stadium. So I am going to pull this landscape out a little bit further, and then we're going to extend this road up, let's say to about there. It can be quite a long road. And we definitely don't want parking outside the front, so let's maybe think about what kind of road style we're going to go for. And I'm thinking maybe a treed medium. Maybe that's a little bit overkill with the trees on the front of the stadium as well. Go for grass median here. Looks kind of neat, yeah. So I think we'll go for that, and also down to this section here as well. And already our flooding has mostly subsided. We've still got a bit of water in this central section, but that's kind of manageable. The station is now okay. That's the main thing. And we have our stadium in, so wonderful. We're going to come back to the design of the sort of park area, leading some of these pedestrian paths out onto the actual quay waterfront here as well. I'm thinking also this is probably high enough to have some kind of pedestrian bridge over here. It's going to be very, very tricky to get in because of our theme park, so I'm not 100% sure if we will venture into that or not. I will see if we can indeed get it in. It might even be that we actually have a pedestrian path over this way onto this side. And then, of course, they could walk across the bridge there if they did want to get round. That's probably the better solution for that. But again, we'll come back to this in the detailing. It's nice to have a big stadium here. And I think the key thing I really like about this is if you're in the top of these stands over this side, you've got this amazing view of the downtown with the small little theme park in front of it. And then down onto the baseball field. Really, really like that. It's kind of raised up next to the downtown as well, so I really think that will be a nice feature. And Migo on our Discord server also suggested we put an Olympic village out here. So next time we're going to be expanding on this stadium area by creating ourselves an Olympic village in this little area next to our highway over this side. So I'm pretty excited to get onto that wonderful idea there from Migo. We have got a lot of traffic coming down here. We've obviously got a match on already. Like, look at the front of this stadium as well. How amazing is that with the stairs? So, so good. Absolutely incredible. But before we come onto our old town, I do just want to address this big kind of glaring hole that we have right over here. And I was thinking next to the rail track, it would be nice to have some kind of industry here. We've obviously got our albino rhino courtyard and our crammed in town over this side, which was meant to be a kind of gentrified industrial area of sorts. So I'm wondering if maybe we put in a big warehouse this side or something of that description. Can we even fit a large warehouse in here? We might be able to. It might upset the landscaping over there just a little bit. So let's see what we can do with this. Let's go ahead and grab a regular road. And I'll come out of here so that we've got a nice 90-degree angle on that side. And then we'll bring it across this way and this way for the moment and see if we do have the space for this, because I think this would be quite a nice feature up against the railway. We can fit it in there, but it does sort of upset the quay a little bit at this end. I think we might be able to do a bit of detailing around that to help that out there, potentially add in path access to sort of raise the landscape up a little bit, which is definitely something we could explore here. So if we get one of the park life paths, we should be able to, let's turn snapping off for this, kind of raise it up almost, yeah, there we go, to the bottom of the key. And it pushes the landscape up a little bit here, but I suspect we might be able to get a tree or two onto this. It's not going to snap to the key, just to cover this up a little bit, which we can. So let's put a nice big live oak. I know that may not be super realistic, kind of right on the edge of a big industrial warehouse, but it does sort of cover up that ugly concrete a little bit. We need a little bit of undergrowth and bushes under there, which we can sort out in the detailing. But that kind of works. And then let's actually just go ahead and add in some pedestrian access up this side so that we know that that is connected into the key. And we'll see if we can get people to use our stairs over here. While we're at it, we may as well also connect it in there too. Let's just come back to this row configuration around the warehouse and tidy this up a little bit. And we'll just go right up to the end there, so that's nicely balanced, and then we can bring this back out. This one isn't going to have traffic or this intersection here, so I think we're okay to have it that close. What we definitely want to do though is come in and turn off that traffic light so traffic isn't stopping at that point. We've obviously got one at the end over there and one further up this way, but don't want one at this point, I don't believe. So I think that will work nicely. Now on this warehouse, let's set this to commercial zones goods, because obviously being in the downtown, we've got quite a bit of commercial around this area. So I'm right over here, we're going to be putting in a little bit more over this side. So I think actually having a warehouse over here might be kind of useful for distribution of goods. Not that we have any complaints right now, but still, it's there. And also I really like this dynamic. This is the main reason for it, is the aesthetic of having this huge warehouse up next to our big train station, and then you've got the layers going up to the stadium as well over there. I can see people floating up the wall. Wonderful. So they are actually using, well, I say using, they're not, but attempting to use our staired keys over this way to get into the stadium. So that's pretty exciting actually. So let's also talk about public transit getting up to here, because we have this tram line coming out of here, which I would also like to extend. Now this road is a fairly main collector, so we've got a highway connection up here, which also is good for our warehouse, means trucks can come relatively easily in and off the highway to deliver their goods here. But it also does mean I probably don't want to build really along this very much at all. So I'm actually thinking on this side, let's go into our tram roads and we'll pick another pedestrian tram road, the bluestone one, so it matches the other side. And we're going to place in essentially a sort of parallel road to our network that we've got up this side. We may want to do a little bit of landscape smoothing here, but let's see how far we can get it in just to follow this road round. Just have a nice little humpback bridge bleeding it on straight over the railway that way, and then we can worry about the rest of the network a little bit later on. But we do then want to add in a tram stop, I'm thinking here, and then provide direct pedestrian access up to our stadium. So this is kind of the main entrance place, so I think if we go like that, that should be pretty good. Again, let's make sure that we're turning off those traffic lights, just like so. And then, yeah, we can have a tram stop out here, which is going to run out of our central tram hub this way, on up this hill. It can stop here and then it can go on to wherever it's going on. I'm thinking actually we join it up with this tram line coming in here, so it can kind of connect this back side of the downtown directly into that tram hub. I am then thinking as well with our Old Town district, we'll also have a line coming up and through here to meet up with our train station, which is what I want to get onto next, which is going to kind of facilitate this district in between our main central train hub and also the train station in Tyler over here. So that's the plan for that. So yeah, we'll definitely want trams running in and through this side. We do also have a metro line coming out of this station as well that we could deal with. But if we're going to have trams directly from this transport hub up to this one, I think having metro as well as train and tram is probably overkill for all of that same direction. So I think we'll bring the metro up and alongside this way, and then maybe kind of draw it round this side. That's potentially the plan. We've got some other tram lines also to hook in, but again, we'll concentrate on kind of more of that greater tram network extension in a future episode rather than now. I want to concentrate on getting our Old Town district started today. We've got our train station. I obviously want this to be sunk in and at the same height as our sunken train line. So let's just flatten out the landscape in this area just a little bit. Okay, I actually did a little bit more terraforming than I was intending to. We've now got two kind of flat platforms here to play with, which I think will be a little bit easier, particularly in relation to what we're actually going to be putting in here. So let's get our train station in here. We want something small and simple for this. So I know I need to leave at least 2 squares to fit this station in. So that might be okay. Let's just delete out this part of the line. We'll click pause here as well, just for the moment. Let's go in and have a little look at our stations, and I am thinking that we'll use the Railroads of Japan small ground station for this. We've only got 1 line coming through. I don't think we need a bypass line on this, so I think that will be absolutely fine. So let's get this nicely positioned here, and that does actually reasonably well line up with our train lines here, so that's kind of satisfying at least. I probably do just want to peel this back a little bit so that we're not getting any nasty lumpy bumpies in our train track there. And then we can go ahead and reconnect this in just like that. We'll definitely put a road on the other side as well so that we have got access to both sides of this station. So let's just push this back a little bit, but we're not going to be doing that today. This other side will come in a future episode. So again, let me know in the comments what you would like to see in and around our Old Town district over here, and particularly when we've got our Olympic Village in over this side. What should go here? What should go next to it? Let me know in the comments below. So let's just add a road in here because we want to remember to have that in, and I am going to upgrade that from the pedestrian road into a regular one. In fact, actually, because this is our Old Town district, let's actually use the European 2-lane stone bridge road. Because when it's on flat land, it's got this lovely kind of, it's not really cobblestone, but brick sidewalk to it. Really like the effect of that. So we'll use that for most of the road network around here. And before we move on, let's also add in some stops to our line here. So we'll drag this in and just add a couple of stops in either direction here. And that should work pretty well indeed. So we just need to work on the road network a little bit this side. But before I go too far with that, I do just want to work on this area here because I think the grid can flow quite nicely off of it. So what we're going to do here, we're actually going to work in a pedestrianised Old Town style area with a few unique buildings. So we're going to use our bluestone pedestrian street. That's kind of the main one that we've been using throughout Fewnilla County. Sort of goes with the theme for this to add in our pedestrian area. Now looking at uniques as well, we've got the cathedral, which I think will sit in here really nicely. We've also got the department store, which is very kind of, it feels European style, at least to me. And then we do also have, well, we also have the theatre, in fact. We've got Grand Central Station. I mean, I know that's probably, I think that's based on the New York one. So that's another option in here, but we don't want to go too heavy with it. I definitely think the theatre would be really nice sitting opposite the modern theatre over this side. There could be a tale of 2 shows over here, next to the DJ de L Central Park. So I think that will sit pretty nicely on this road. We can definitely add in more of a kind of tiled plaza extension area along here with a little bit of sort of street detailing, I think, next to it. And then we can start off with our pedestrian road network coming off here. So let's just draw this out straight. I've forgotten where the terrain actually starts to slope up. So we may need some contour lines on for this, but we'll come to that. And then I'm thinking in here, as the sort of central feature to this, we then go ahead and add in the cathedral. It is quite expensive, so this could be quite a hit on our budget, but we are making fairly decent amounts most of the time, so I'm not too worried about that. So let's extend our pedestrian road network all the way around it, kind of wrap it up with that, and then we could have a nice plaza, I think, out the front. We're going to need a service point in here as well, so let's not forget that. Could that actually fit on this corner? It could, but then I think it probably takes away from the plaza extension, so we'll find another location for this, I think. It could even go outside of the warehouse over here, which may be actually pretty fitting for it. Yeah, let's in fact add 2, because that's just the small one, and a couple of those in a repeated pattern. We've got the lovely props out the back, I think will work really nicely for this. So let's also, while we're at it, add in our pedestrian area. So that warning should go away once we press play again. And then coming back to the uniques, we then also have the department store, which I think would look quite nice there. And actually the entranceway to it lines up really, really nicely with that pedestrian street. Then we've got space to play with for a bit of detailing for a plaza there. And then with this gap here as well, we definitely don't want to be building anything in here, and I probably don't want any kind of garden. We could have a garden, maybe. I am just wondering if we could use the airport aprons to fill this out a little bit. If we draw it up to this end, is that going to impede on this park? Actually, it's really not too bad. It's only on the end of that pathway. So yeah, quite pleased with that. And then we could do a little bit of zoning potentially in this corner or something at least to cover up that nasty corner to it. In fact, actually, let's delete that one out. Can we shift it over just a little bit? That it does line up with the road. Yes, and then potentially it could be a kind of green garden space in that side, which might work quite nicely. So then in and around this, we're going to want lots of commercials. So we've got demand for really everything at the moment, which is good news indeed. So we're going to have a bit of commercial, a lot of residential, and a few little offices, all in the old European style in this area. So let's draw in our district to start off with, and we're going to cover literally this entire space with it. And then if we click on the district, we can go to the style and change it to European, which is going to give us that style of high density European buildings, which I typically don't like. But we're going to work with it here. We're going to make it work. We're going to have fun, and we'll see how it goes. So now just looking at the slope, we want to be a little bit mindful of this. So I think before we start going in and zoning, let's draw in some grid work down here. So I'd quite like to sort of follow actually this tram road that we've got at the top of the slope. So let's use the guidelines from this road to snap this in all the way along, and then we can come down here. I do want to replace these to the old style road, so we will absolutely do that. I can see this is actually just pushing up a tiny bit. So before we do that, let's just push back this terrain a touch here. And we'll have to do something with that slope because it may end up looking slightly odd, but I think for the moment it'll be okay. We could even bring this out a little bit further away, and then we've got a bit more space to play with in terms of shaping out that slope. And then with this, we can definitely bring down that pedestrian street like so. So there's full access to that tram stop, which will sit right here between the stadium and also this district as well. So before I forget, let's upgrade to our old style roads here. We'll do that road as well. And then we just want to start piecing out some grids. Okay, so we've got a bit of a grid in here. I've also added in the fantastic fountain, which I thought would make a really nice feature outside of our train station here. And we can have a bit of a tram turnaround in here where they come up from the main tram depot. stop and turn around at this point and then potentially continue on down this way. We've got this tram line to meet up with, so I definitely think something needs to happen there. But in terms of this one, very quickly, Jenny, or Endolia, if I said that correctly, suggested that we put a tram line up through the middle of our highway. And I'd really like to give that a go. It's really hard to do because you'll see, like if I try and place in a tram line here, it's just going to snap to either side of it. I have also downgraded our highway to 2 lanes here, so the lane mathematics kind of fails in this section, but it's not too busy at the moment. I think it'll be okay. I think we can survive like that. So it is quite tricky to get in. But one way that we can do it relatively easily is actually by raising it up. And of course we're going to need to raise it up to get across the highway, so it doesn't really cause too many problems. I wonder, can we go one step lower and cross over? We can't, so we do want it at this height here. And you'll see now that it's raised up, we can much more easily get a snap point between the 2 highways. So let's go ahead and place a nice long stretch of this in here like that. And then this will give us some nice little transport layers of height as we come down here. And this will definitely feel much more like a light rail network as opposed to kind of the intercity trams. Splitting it out onto its own little road like this and bringing it out between the highways. It's going to extend quite a long distance when we go from the downtown all the way down this tram line and on into Palavan Pines Professional Park, thanks to Overcharged Egg for that special collaborative build over there. So I think this is going to work pretty well. What we do obviously want to do now is kind of connect this in. We don't have any raised highways or anything to interfere over this side, so that's going to make it a little bit easier. What we do want to obviously do is bring it up in height from here, and we want to have that as smooth as possible. So I've actually gone a little bit far with that. We'll bring that back just a little bit. We'll go up 3 clicks and a distance of 12 units, and that'll give us the smoothest slope that we can get here. And then if we just snap it into the guidelines, it's not going to go because of the highway. Wonderful. Okay, so let's just bring this one out a little bit more, like that. And we'll bring this one out a little bit more. I want to try and get a kind of nice, smoothish, equal curve to this, I suppose. And then let's hope that we've got enough room here now that pillars aren't going to interfere with the highway, and they still are. So we can cross over at this point here. And then what we could do is just curve this round to meet. So let's get rid of that tiny little bit extra that we put in. Curve this around to meet here. So it's not kind of a perfectly smooth curve, but actually it's not too bad. It's not too bad. And then we can do a similar thing this side. So we're just going to curve it away from the highway over here. So let's go relatively smooth and we'll just bring it out like so. And I think we'll actually remain in a curve to bring it back down to ground level round about here. Like that, which should be a relatively smooth slope. It's not too bad. And then this is going to kind of form, I guess, our main grid pattern over here. Now, I'm not sure how this area is going to go right now, so we're just going to add this in incredibly roughly as a bit of a reminder that we have got tram here that we need to hook in when we come to it. So we'll just leave it like that for the moment. But then we can, of course, also get this line now and extend it up, which is quite exciting. So we're definitely going to want to stop here, like I've mentioned. So let's add that in there. And we'll pull one in the other side. I think we could have a second stop down here too, like so. And then let's definitely also stop it in our tram hub. So where have we got? We've got quite a lot of tram stops in here. We haven't got one over this side, so let's add it in there. And it's actually not really coming in quite a nice way like this, unfortunately. This side makes it a lot easier, so maybe we bring it in behind the red tram there, and that then gives us a stop. And then we also want to add in another tram line, unbelievably, so many tram lines, which we probably want to run in a very similar place. So let's just create a new line there for the moment, and then we can bring it up. Let's have a stop on the side of our cathedral here. And then let's do another one actually round where we're going to put in some shops around here. And then we can bring it into our little tram turnaround at this point. So we can have a stop there. I think that'll be fine to connect it to the station. Doesn't need any more than that. And then we can just bring it back on that same loop again and back into our transit hub. Now this one, of course, the lines are crossing over here. So I'm wondering if we can make that a little bit easier. Yes, by adding in a stop there. That looks a bit better. Okay, so then we've got some nice tram networks flowing around here, and a very, very big long tram line taking us down the hill to the Palavan Pines Professional Park. Absolutely love that. So yeah, let's just add in another stop, I think, there for this neighbourhood for the time being. We've also got this tram line, so I'm definitely thinking we need some convergence between the green and the red lines. So I'm thinking the green line probably flow up this way, intersect with the red line, which can then come up and meet this part, so it will probably cross through this neighbourhood here. And then we're getting pretty good coverage from trams over this side. We might want something else out to the Olympic Village. That's another consideration. Maybe a branch off of our light blue line here, or potentially even a brand new line. And then maybe some more trams out this way, but we'll see. We'll see when we come to it. So now we just need to get in quite a lot of zoning here. We can hit play again, and this is like my worst fear, is mass zoning in high density European residential, well, any assets in fact, high density European. It terrifies me. I don't think I've ever used these assets in the vanilla game in City Skylines before, so it's going to be interesting how this comes out, but I'm going to be brave. I'm going to go for it. We're going to see how it looks. I do also want to be a little bit conscious of noise pollution here. Yeah, so these houses are probably actually going to have to be offices. So let's actually just remove the zoning on a lot of that. We could probably get away with a little bit of residential here, like so. And then we'll mix in a lot more office around here, like that. And hopefully that should be... yeah, it's pretty noisy around here. It's very noisy, in fact. We may want a medical facility. So we have got the European Hospital. This could be something we incorporate. Maybe actually we need to do a medical campus somewhere. I think that's probably going to be a wise idea. For the moment, I am just going to stick in a small medical centre, just so we're covered here. Let's stick this on this end here, and then we can easily change that if we do decide to put in a large hospital somewhere, and that's just going to help them a little bit with the noise pollution. We can, of course, add some more trees and some more greenery, which we'll definitely be doing this side, which will protect them from some of that at least. So let's add in a little bit more office around this side, and all of these assets kind of look the same, so you can blend them in pretty nicely, generally speaking. So I'm not too afraid or worried about that. Now down here, I definitely want a bit more commercial. We've actually got more commercial demand than anything else. So let's, again, we're going to be brave, and we're going to mass zone in some rather large sections, I think, over here. And we'll see how this all transpires in the end, whether I can actually stomach it or not. Time will tell. Here we go. We have got some of our assets coming in now. So really, I think from this point, it is a matter of waiting for those to come in. I may toggle some of the zoning over here just to tidy up some of the kind of blocks in this area. They're a little bit messy over here, so we may do a bit of that. We obviously want to detail outside of the front of our station, all around our stadium, the warehouse down here, and of course these little bits in and around our old town entertainment district, if you can call a cathedral entertainment. The theatre definitely is. So we'll jump into a little time lapse now, and then we'll be right back to have a look at the finished build. So there we go, we've got the start of our Old Town district in, and I have to say I'm really loving this view from this plaza, and that is exactly why I decided to put our little heart fountain shaped thing in here. I'm not sure what it would be, hashtag Fewy love, I'm not sure. That sounds weird, not that. You can think of better suggestions and let me know in the comments below, but there we go. Little photo point, I think, for Fewnilla County in the Old Town Square with those big skyscrapers up in the back. Yeah, really enjoying that. Just did a little bit of tram stop detailing in and amongst here, a few tiles, benches, some shelters, a couple of these little, I like to think of them as ticket booths, so that's what we've done here. And I've also put in pathways around this so they could actually walk through the fountains, because the pathway's actually gone underneath somehow. Obviously without anarchy or anything, so it's legit. But I'm yet to see anyone actually walk there. I think because we don't have a zebra crossing here, it's just not really needed. No one actually does that. But yeah, maybe we change up this road in future, but we'll see. Yeah, in terms of the rest of it, I haven't really done too much to these blocks other than making sure we've got nice corner assets on most of these where we can. There's a couple of 1x1s, but do you know what? They're kind of cute. And I know that happens in these kind of older city centres, so I'm content with it. I've left it. It's okay. We have gone round and tried to fill in a lot of the blank corners like here with trees and bushes and things like that in those little random awkward spaces. But yeah, that was pretty much it for the kind of main actual district. Around the station we've just added a couple of airport aprons to extend out the concrete, but of course in vanilla without anarchy we can't add props into this space, so we have just left that as is. And then a little bit of a hedge detailing along the edge of the railway line here. Then that brings me on to the green belt actually, and I decided to leave this all really open, so I've not got any trees in this side, so you could kind of drive down here and follow the trams down if you so wish. I probably should have done some tram stop detailing actually here, that would have been nice, so maybe we need to come in and do that. So look out for that. I may do that off camera, or we'll do that in the next episode at least. I did also squeeze in a little park down this side as well by this tram stop, which I just thought was kind of a nice touch with a bandstand thing in the middle, a couple of little tables. Just filled in that space a little bit more nicely, and we've got the dirt paths as a nice bit of contrast between the rest of it. We've got the horrendous blocks of commercial town here. I don't know quite what to make of it. I think with CS2 I've actually started to enjoy billboards a little bit more, but it's the fact that these are so luminescent. It's a little bit distracting really, isn't it? But there we go. Especially next to our cathedral. So you see here these blocks of commercial here and all here. Lots of pink. I mean, it's FewC branded at least. Outside the front of our cathedral we have just done a little food truck kind of pop-up area in this plaza. We've also got another bandstand and a statue in here, which I thought was kind of tasteful. But then outside the front of our department store I've got a giant Christmas tree, so I'm imagining this is there all year round, and then at Christmas they'll decorate it up to the high heavens and make it super Christmassy. I did also try and do what we did in CS2 and use a sandbox as a planter, but the spades and buckets are maybe a little bit distracting there, so I'll probably delete that out. And we also have, of course, a dude on a horse statue, why not, outside the department store. I think this sits quite nicely along this road as well. And then further down this way I did also add in a few little offices on this corner, and also in this space here that was left blank by our transit hub at the back here. So I kind of like the little pop-in height just away from the downtown. So we're transitioning into quite low heights, I suppose, over this side, or lower heights at least. So I think having a little bit of extra height there goes pretty well. So kind of pleased with that. I did cheat outside the front of our warehouse. Now we do have Find It on because we have a custom billboard in Fewnilla County, but I decided to put down some containers because I couldn't think of anything else better to put outside of this warehouse here. Like I wanted a big yard in front of it, and the containers just work so well, so it had to be those. We did use some of the recycling bin props from Plazas and Promenades here too, then a bit of overgrowth to cover up where I couldn't get the airport apron quite in properly. And of course we've got our path up onto the bottom of the quays. Now this gets really busy, so we've just had, we've got a match on I guess at the moment. And no one's actually in the stadium, they're gathering outside of it. But I had a rush of people coming up here. You can see there's someone here, so they are definitely using all of these keys and actually walking around it. So you can see a couple of people around here. I kind of felt like up here that the stadium just spoke for itself really, so I haven't done too much other than added in benches and a bit of a repeated tree pattern, because these trees are part of the asset here and it looks super odd them being in this straight line. If I had mods I would have deleted them out, but we don't, so I've made the most of that and kind of carried on this pattern all the way around the edge of the stadium here, which I think kind of works. We do have a little bit of jank in the terrain here, but it's not too bad if you don't look too close. Yeah, lots and lots of people walking around. There was quite a few on the quay when I was looking earlier, so I wonder if when the match finishes they'll all start flooding out. But it's lovely that they actually use this. I wasn't sure if they would, with the main entrance being out the front there. Ah, the match is in session. Wonderful business. And of course they then have their great view of the match overlooking the downtown with the theme park there in as well. Absolutely love this. Really, really pleased with this placement, and particularly when you come down to kind of this main junction, which is a bit of a traffic chaos nightmare. The fact that it's sort of raised up and very prominent, really, really enjoying that. You can see it from quite a few places across the city, like it really sort of stands out by itself, so very pleased with that. And then this section in the middle we just left open again. Like, this is another quite nice view. If you sit on these slopes here, you've got the cathedral in the foreground and then all the modern skyscrapers, the older commercial buildings in the front. Really, really nice kind of contrast, I think, around here. You can even see over to, I forget the name of the building now, but the nice big brick X-Factory building is what I'm going to call it, the unique one over there. So yeah, I'm actually, considering it's my least favourite type of assets, really, really pleased with how this little area has turned out. So for today, that is going to be it. Next time we'll come on to the Olympic Village build next to the stadium. But do keep letting me know your suggestions for what else you'd like to see on this side of the downtown in the comments below. And we'll see how many of those we can incorporate. And if you have enjoyed the video, likes, comments and shares are greatly appreciated. But that is all from me for now. Thank you so much for tuning in. Enjoy the cinematics and I'll catch you again next time. Bye bye.